Well, hello and welcome to Hull Seahawks Behind the Curtain, episode 21. It's going to be our week 3 of the NIHL National Season review and a look ahead to week 4. And myself and Martin are both here this week. We've also got Matty with us, as always, and our special guest for the week, returnee once again. It's been a long time since you've been on, Jordan. 19 episodes have passed since, but Jordan Mclaughlin's back with us. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back on. Chat with the lads as always.
And of course, I say 19 episodes since then, and a few bits of change for Jordan, haven't they, since then, Martin?
Yeah, they certainly have. Yeah, obviously moving down to Hull, obviously doing the trek down. How have you settled in there? Are you good?
Yeah, all good. All settled in now. Got everything pretty much how we want it and stuff. So yeah, it was a bit of a hassle, but yeah, no, we got there all fine. We moved down plenty of times, so we had loads of time to sort it out. So we're all good.
And I say your partner's moved down here as well. How are they finding it? Of course, it's a big commitment for the two of you, wasn't it, moving down here?
Yeah, obviously it's like you say, it's a big commitment moving all the way down here, and obviously she's had to get a job, and she's settled into that pretty well. She seems to be enjoying it quite a lot at the minute. So yeah, that's all you can really hope for. But obviously it's a big jump, and it's a lot different, obviously from the schools up in Scotland. So working in schools in England, it's a wee bit different. So yeah, she's just getting used to that.
In terms of yourself, obviously being down here, you got a bit more free time in your hands. You found much to do in the city?
No, to be honest, I don't really get out that much. Kind of stay inside quite a lot, really. I go to Sheffield, obviously, on the days that we are not skating at Hull, and then I'm skating at Hull, and most of the time it's just sleep and then do a little bit of work here and there, and that's about it.
I think certainly get that sleep, and you'll need it for the weekend. Matt will be telling you that one. Talking of the weekend, there's only one place we can really go to, and that's the performance on Sunday night against the Bees. Of course, great 7-0 result for the guys. You know, just what we needed after what was a difficult weekend before. Difficult Sunday before anyway, against the Telford Tigers. Matty, I'm going to come to you first on this one. It's something we mentioned in the chat that we had back, sort of in your office after the game, that the first period, though, we showed up. We were the dominant team because seemingly the Bees allowed us to be, but it was a bit of a continuation of that Telford game, wasn't it, where things just weren't quite sharp enough.
Yeah, I think, look, I think we was going into the game with sort of a little bit of an unknown. We didn't know what we was going to expect, I think. They're quite a different team from last year. And so are we. So it was sort of an unknown thing. Obviously, they've won some games and been, doing really well. And look, I think for me, it was, I was not really thinking about them, or, I didn't speak to the lads a lot about that team. Because again, for me, it's about concentrating on us at the minute and getting us into the right place where we can, implement our game and what we're trying to do against teams. And yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think if we play our game against most teams in this league, they're going to have a tough night, especially in Hull. So, look, the first period, I was annoyed. I'm not going to lie. It's the first time in the year I've been a little bit stern, probably with the lads after a period, and just it was just purely down to the fact that it felt like to me we had not learned from last week. We'd talked a lot all week about, sort of our game and sort of not being perimeter and not trying to, make the nice play and not try and just wait for it to happen. And I just said to the lads after the period, look, it was dead. And that was, the biggest thing for me is, especially at home, and we've seen it many times, especially in that second period, but, you've got to get the crowd into the game. And often the byproduct of getting the crowd into the game is often that you've done some good stuff, and that's key. And look, we know what their schedule was. We don't need to talk on and on about where they was been the night before, because everyone's got to do the same thing. So it's not about, feeling sorry for them or anything like that. It's all about it's a game at the end of the day. I know for me anyway, when I played, it was always difficult not having a game before, or at least not being on the ice before. I know a lot of the lads are the same. It's difficult to get going, and you've missed a day on the ice, and then you're on the ice in a game that's, you know, a big game for the club. You know, we needed to win that game. It was very important that we did, and win well as well. And I think there's probably a little bit of that involved in terms of just sort of not being on the ice, but you know, look, it's early in the season and we're still trying to find who we are, I guess, in terms of our lineup and, you know, the balance of everything. And, you know, I'm constantly thinking about it. Probably too much, but I think it means a lot in terms of, you know, if we get it right, I think we've got sort of all the ingredients there to make this team win. Yeah, and I just, you know, I had to tell the lads after the first period, like, look, there's more in here, and we need to show it now. Because again, you mentioned it, mate, but if you let these games rumble on and on in this league, everyone's got a shooter's chance, and you know they have a couple of decent, obviously, players that have put some numbers up already. You know, Gabaj and Balaj, and obviously you just can't leave it to just hope that we're going to get in the game and finally make it, you know, and leave it on Geordie to make a, you know, breakaway save, and then people start, oh, we better wake up now. I just didn't want to see that. I was not happy with our performance at all, and I think we needed way more. And I think we got a bit of a reaction in the in the second period. But I think, look, we needed to swap a few things around. I think the balance again went right, and again, you know, I think looking at what we have at the end of that game, I think for me that looks a little bit more balanced, you know, and you know, we'll see what happens this weekend. This weekend's tough, but we'll talk about that, I'm guessing. But yeah, it was a great reaction. The lads obviously delivered in that second period, and it was nice to see, you know, the different scorers that got on there. Because there's a few lads there that, you know, not had the starts that I wanted, you know, to pick up points or score and make an impact. And you know, I was so happy for Brutes just to get that one, because you know he's been. I'm not going to lie, like he has been struggling. He's been struggling sort of just with his confidence and where he is in the lineup, and sort of how you know, he's got so much, you know, potential. We know that, but he's also got a lot of pressure because you know, he's playing a regular shift in a really good team. You know, things change massively when you're on a team that is built to win, and that's what this team is built to win. We're not here to make numbers up. We've said this over and over, but last year was very different. This year's not that. So yeah, happy for him, happy for Bonner, and obviously all the other lads that got on the score sheet. But yeah, so I was happy with the reaction, and I think obviously we didn't look like losing the game from then on, obviously. So yeah, it was a great night.
Of course, Mike, we spoke before the game about some of those line changes that you'd made pre-game. Of course, even a few more between the first and the second line, you know, between the first and the second periods. But I just want to mention that third line. You've mentioned two of the guys on it as well, but Lee Paul also. They had, you know, some tremendous shifts. I thought first period, to be honest, they were the most dangerous line personally, myself. And throughout the game, you know, they continued to do all the hard graft, great work on the forecheck, turning the puck over in the right place. It was great hockey from them three guys. It'll do them all the world of good. And I say Bonner seems to have a new lease of life. I think, you know, just being able to do it'll be a little bit freer, I thought, on that third line. He was just all over the place, you know, end to end on the ice.
Yeah, I mentioned the same thing in the period break. You know, that line was the only line that looked like they was alive in the first period and really wanted it. And yeah, Bonner. Look, I know Bonner's not a third line player. I'm obviously aware of that. Look, Lee's got so much ability and game that, look, if I can make him, I think he was angry a little bit, and I wanted that a reaction. But right now, where he fits in the lineup, look, I think he can be so much more dangerous there. With the makeup of how the lines are, and it can always shift about. But I thought it was the best game Pollard has played, you know, since a long time, you know, and I think he was great, and we needed that from him. And I think he showed he can do that role. And obviously Brooks, we mentioned him, but yeah, look, that line was great. It's great to see that they've sort of got in their heads now that they are, a line that can go and do and be a threat out there and make, stuff happen. And, they did that. You're right. I thought there was the best line in first period. And I think, they played well all game.
So I'm going to come across to yourself now.
On there.
Sorry, Martin,
I
go ahead.
jump on there. I was just going to say, sorry, about the second period and stuff. Like, one thing Connor always mentions is like the lack of at the time, like the dirty goal. And it's all like second period, like that's what we mentioned constantly. Like Connor did as well over time. Like that. How pleased you, Matty, with the fact that you've got those players on those lines now that can get that the dirty goal over the line. You know what I mean? Instead of always having to make like miracles happen. Like, we're getting those players in and around the net man, but really causing problems.
Yeah, it's look. I mean, Jordy will know this, but I talk about it on a daily basis with these lot. It's so annoying and boring at this point, but look, it's so important the game now that these goalies are too good. When they see a shot, Jordy can talk on this more than I can, but if they can see a shot, unless it's look someone like Kieran Brown or someone with an absolute rocket, you're likely not going to score. The game now is you watch the game in the NHL, any high league, it's all about being in front of the net, and you have to take the goalie's eyes away. And a lot of goals now in this game are scored around the net. And look, there's so many good D men as well. And the way the game is played is the D men do get a lot of time on the puck up there, and obviously the big zones now in the NHL. It's similar over here with the big ice, and we do like to use our points a lot. We've got obviously, some high level D men up there with Brock and Deck, and obviously Baz and Stubbs can chip in there, but them two specifically are very good at getting shots through. And look, I've said to them, you don't need to try and tip it. You need to just take the goal's eyes away, and that's key for our team. I think for us to be really successful, you're not going to get pretty goals every night. And I said actually before, I don't know what it was in what period, but it might have been before the game. We'd not scored a tipping goal yet, and I mean I know Emil got one, but I think that was a bit of a lucky one when we scored that in MK in terms of I think it just came off his stick, but that was a proper tip from Lee, and that is what I've signed. I knew that he scored 2 tip-ins in at the Coventry finals. I watched him do it, and I've watched him for Pirates for years, and he's really good in front of the net. And he's like a bowling ball, and you can't move him, and he's. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a huge part of the game, and like I say, when you get against really good teams and they play defensively well, and you've got to move them out, move that defensive core out of the way and try and make things happen. Sometimes it's just one of them, little nasty shots that's just got through, and a little tip here and there, and the goalie doesn't see it. And how many times it's happened to us, and Geordie, I ain't seen it. I didn't see it, and that's because it's good from that team. That's what they're trying to do. That is the point, and that's if Geordie sees it, he's saving it. So the point is you got to take his eyes away. So yeah, I talk about it constantly.
Yeah, but from your side, Jordan, I say Matty said, you'll speak about it from personal experiences. I say it was something we did struggle with a little bit at times last year, was defending those type of goals, and it seems to be a lot better this year. But just how difficult is it? As Matty said, sometimes it's not even about the tips, it's just about, can you see the puck? No matter how far it is away, you're trying to, a lot of the time, react from how people's bodies move.
Yeah, it's like Matty says, it's kind of key to whether the puck goes in the net or not, really. You're trying, as a goalie, you're trying to watch the puck come off their stick and what kind of angle it comes off at, where it's going to go, like where they're kind of shooting. And if you can't see that for even like a millisecond, half a second, even if it's somebody like skating across in front of you, that can completely throw you off, and you don't really know until it's too late where it's going, and then you're too late to react. So it is a big part of the game, and like you say, last year we obviously struggled defensively with it. So for me, I've experienced it quite a lot, and I know how effective it can be. Just putting somebody in front of the net doesn't really matter whether they're like Lee Bonner's size or Emil's size. They're in front, they're in the way, they're making themselves known to the goalie, and the goalie knows that even if he saves it, he's got to work out where the rebound's going to go because it could land right on their stick as well. So it puts a lot of kind of thoughts into the goalie's head, like I need to really kind of focus on this. And if you're not seeing the puck clearly, it makes your job way more difficult.
I'd say we've got a lot of players, who are doing that dirty work this year. Say Lee Bonner has mentioned, Bobby Chamberlain and Bobby Young both love to get involved in that sort of area as well. Just be a nuisance. That's all they're being, isn't it, for you as a netminder? They're just being a nuisance.
Yeah, just getting in the way and causing a bit of havoc. That's probably the best way to do it, though, because if you go to the front of the net and you're trying to screen the goalie, that brings the defender into play as well. So then you could end up screening the goalie by using the defender as well. So there's loads of different things that can come out of just getting to the front of the net and getting to the areas that are hard to get to, because a lot of D-men in this league are quite strong and they probably will not let you try and get to the front of the net that easily. So it's something you got to really want to do to get there. You can't just kind of glide in there thinking that you're just going to walk in and tip a puck. You've got to really work hard to get there. So yeah, it's important that we do that, and that's where we're going to get most of our success, really.
And I say it was evident. I think about a minute before our first goal on Sunday, I think Deck had a shot from the point, pretty much similar space to where Brock's shot went from, to be honest. And I think we said on commentary, Martin, Deck, as good as his shot is, it's not going to beat a goaltender like Griffin Priest if he's got his eyes the entire time. Roll on 30 seconds later, and all havoc's being caused. Griffin Priest can't see the puck, and Brock absolutely fires one in there. It was exactly, and we reacted to it in that exact way. It was the first time the commentator curse has worked for us positively, I've got to say. I just want to throw this one back to you, Geordie. Of course, in terms of traffic this week, you didn't face too many shots. The first period was about as busy as it got, and that was 8 on net. As a netminder, how difficult is it to remain switched on in those sort of times? Because, of course, if you're facing 8, I think it was 4 shots on that in the second period where all the puck was down in their zone. They couldn't even clear the puck across centre ice and retain possession. It was just being recycled to the RD men constantly all game. But all it takes is one lucky bounce, one breakaway, and we might be in trouble. How difficult is it for you to stay engaged?
Yeah, it's tricky, especially when you went from getting shots on a very regular basis last year to then playing in a game where you're not really doing that much. It is a big shift. I would say I'm okay at it. I'm very into the game when I'm watching it. Like, I don't really pay attention to what's going on around me and just kind of focus on the puck, where it is, what kind of threats are coming from it. Even if it ends up not working out for them, I'm still aware of who's kind of on the ice. But yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, when you're scoring 3 goals in 40 seconds or whatever ridiculous stuff that we were doing, it's kind of like, all right, okay, it's just came out of nowhere. But yeah, it's tricky, but it's just one of those things as a goalie you've got to learn to be able to do, especially if you're going to play on a good team who's going to have the puck most of the time, especially against like teams who maybe aren't like kind of like Leeds or MK quality, where we are going to have the puck the majority of the time. It's something important that you need to learn to be able to do.
Matt, just a quick one on sort of the way that game went, particularly in the second and third periods. How difficult is it to be honest, I might assume the answer is not too difficult because the lads are going to want to push for the full 60 minutes anyway. But in terms of the way you play when you're up against a team like the Bees were for the final 40 minutes, where they weren't able to offer much, the legs looked shot, didn't quite know how to clear the zone, and actually regain some possession. I say it was just going straight back to the D-man every single time, back into the zone. Sort of, do you, at that point as a coach, you want them to just keep hammering on, just try and really, keep doing everything exactly as they were, as if this game was still 0-0, or do you start to try things?
No, I think for me, like the game that we play, I don't want us to necessarily get away from it. Like, the fact that they, couldn't get out the zone, or, we're struggling to sort of get any sort of foothold in the game is down to us, I think. And, look, I want us to be, high energy and a fit team. And I think we've seen this year over most of the games, we do look fit, and we are on top of a lot of teams. And most games we've played, we've outshot everyone, and it's again, it's about us. And I think, if I'm not going to change sort of how I see this team playing again. At times there'll be adjustments made if needed against, like Geordie said, the caliber of players that you're playing against. You have to be aware of who's on the ice. But the way that we're playing, and we're trying to be, responsible defensively, having a third guy high a lot, that will never change. But we are aggressive. I would like my D to be aggressive, and to keep the puck in the zone. It's key for us that. And again, like, in a game like that, obviously they were struggling. They looked tired. They looked like they was shot a little bit, and I had no thought in my mind in slowing down. It was all just, we keep going. We don't change at the minute for anyone, and we have to keep playing our game. Because we haven't found ourselves yet either. Like, yeah, we've played well in spurts, but we've not. Even Sunday, we haven't put 60 minutes together yet. We've still got work to do. We're a new team necessarily. We've got a lot of good players, like a lot of new players that have tried, fit into the way we were, and we've changed a lot from last year and in our style of play, down to just having more players and sort of, what I want our D-men to do. I've signed I've signed D-men that are a lot more mobile for a reason. And that's to implement the game that I want us to play. We talk about a lot heavy metal, but it's about being smart, not just gung-ho and going all out gung-ho. There's got to be responsibilities out there. Again, another thing I talk about on a daily basis with them. But you can only be sort of gung-ho in a sense when you've got people that are responsible and playing and letting people go. If D-men want to go, they can, but we need to have cover, and we need to have people that are aware of it. So we are getting there. We are getting there. We look like we're coming together. Finding the balance of the team is key for me at this point, and making sure that we've got sort of the right, combinations out there. And it was always going to take a bit of time, just from that many new and really good players that are coming into the club. It's not just, we're adding sort of, average players here. We've added top players, and I think, look, good players can play with each other, no doubt, but there's also styles of play that need to be, accounted for. And yeah, look, a game like that, we don't stop for anyone, and no one would do that to look for us, so we don't do that for anyone else.
Yeah, there's not many teams that would stop trying to beat us if we were on that end of the Sterling, because they never stopped last year. So I think what Matt's saying is important, because if you play the full 60, it carries on to the next game. Like we talked, the Telford game carried on into the first period against the Bees. So if we finish poorly, it's going to carry into the next weekend when we play Peterborough or another team that maybe of a better standard. So we've got to make sure that we keep playing the right way the whole time, and it will just keep carrying on to the next game.
No, of course. Exactly the answer expected, obviously, but it's one that those fans will be excited to hear, because I think that's what they want to see as well. The team that's not going to let up, keep the hammer down, essentially. Talking about obviously the end of the game, only the one goal in the third period, but still dominant, still creating chances. I thought Brett Shepherd made a few good saves as well down in there after the netminder replacement in the second intermission. But of course, we've got to mention, of course, Geordie Shutout, of course. He had some lucky charms, I think, come to join you at the game as well, Geordie. First of all, how happy were you for Jordan, Matty, before we move across to him?
Yeah, I said it in the interview afterwards. I've said it all along. Like, he's my guy, and I'm never gonna sway from that. Like, I back him 100%. And look, any start to a season is always difficult. You're finding your feet, you're finding your rhythm again. Geordie came off, a great season for him last year in terms of, he had to make a lot of saves. He had to do a lot of work that, I would have rather him didn't do, but he did it and he did a really good job. And this year he's come in, focused, and he knows the job. Like, he knows what he's got in front of him. And I think he knows that, he's he's trusted from me 100%. And yeah, so buzzing for him. And I think for me, like, you don't like to, curse these sort of things, but I'm not surprised by this. I think he's got this in his locker, and I want him to just realize how good he is, and go on and really claim that, like, top 3 goalie in the league, and which I think he is. And I've been saying it, since last year, and I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he is. But look, it's again, it's a different proposition for us this year, and I'm asking Geordie to play a lot more games than he did last year. But again, no doubt in my mind he's got that in him, and again, I want him to play in them big moments, and win us games, and hopefully win us leagues and cups and everything else. So yeah, happy for him, mate. He needed it, I think, for his head as well, to realise how good he is.
Yeah, I'll throw it across to you, Jordan. We've been involved in some absolute thrillers, high-scoring games so far this season, but there's nothing more satisfying for you netties than a big 0 on the opposition score sheet, is there?
No, there's nothing better really as a goalie to see the big 0 when the game finishes. But yeah, it was good. It was good to get a shot. Obviously, I didn't have too much to do, but I think that speaks to kind of how the team played really. The D men, kind of all six D men, and also all the forwards as well helped out defensively. And there was a couple of times where they were in our zone for a wee bit, and they did their job and made sure the puck wasn't getting to any like dangerous areas. And I was able to do my job when I needed to. So really happily, like, defensively, and we just need to make sure we carry that on to more games. Like Matty says, it's a big confidence boost. You kind of shut out, you can do it. So it's just carrying that on into the next game and try to keep it going.
Certainly. So I've got another one for you now, Jordan. We mentioned it sort of last season with yourself, but we are sort of seeing this shift of British netminders with experience in the Elite League, looking for that chance to become a starter. And, a lot of them are moving to sort of these teams in the national division, really trying to sort of get more ice time. Because as a netminder, there's nothing more frustrating, is there, than not seeing enough pucks. It's difficult to develop when you may be getting 10 games a season. I say it's particularly when you're young, as yourself. For another example was the netminder we saw Sunday in Griffin Priest, of course. Do you expect that to be a shift that we continue to see? And what's sort of the drive behind it for yourself? Is it that thing of development and wanting to be out there every single week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to play at the highest level that you can, which is obviously still a goal that I have at some point as well. But it's important to play games. I don't think you learn any really at all if you sit on the bench. You can watch games, you can see how different goalies move and play, but you're really not going to like really learn it unless you experience it for yourself. So I think that's kind of why a lot of goalies are shifting to the National League, and I think it's only going to help further down the line with British goalies. We're not just going to have to rely on one British goalie like for the GB team or whatnot. Like there will be options there, and I think it is only a good thing for British hockey as a whole. Like more goalies kind of playing more and getting better as a kind of collective group, so to speak. But yeah, for me, I just want to play games. I'm at this point where I don't want to sit on the bench anymore. I want to just play, I want to have fun playing games, and I want to get better and push myself as much as I can and win as much as I can. So yeah, that's kind of the main motivation for me. But yeah, it's good to see a lot of goalies kind of taking a step down. Obviously, the Elite League does still need kind of British goalies because obviously the rules and the input rules that they have. But yeah, in the Elite League, there's just not really the opportunities for you to play unless you're really exceptionally good, in which case you probably won't be in the Elite League that long. Or yeah, it's just how it is.
Of course. Let's move on. Of course, it is something that we have mentioned already. It's not something that the bees will use as an excuse. It's not something that we will use as an excuse when it comes to the time. But we've finally sort of seen a team who's been on this long Solway trip and come back to play a game on the Sunday. And we've seen it for ourselves now. And of course, Jordan, yourself having long made the journey, between Hull and Scotland. I'll ask you first, do you think it is going to play a big part in games this season for teams that are having to make a Saturday trip to Solway and then play on the Sunday?
Yeah, but I think, like Matty says, every team's got to do it. Everyone's got to go play Solway. Everyone's got to then go down and play the Bees. Everyone's got to play Romford. Everyone's got to go to Bristol. So it's difficult, and that's part of the game. So you kind of need to just adjust to that. Obviously, with the Bees, they played 2 away games, so that's another kind of spanner into the mix where they stayed at a hotel or wherever they stayed, and it's not at their home, it's not their own bed, stuff like that. Like all those kind of little things can add up, and cause you to play not as well as you could. But like we say, we're in this sport for a reason. We all kind of know what is expected of us and what kind of happens when you're on the road, and that's just something that you need to kind of learn to deal with, really. It's like I say, every team's got to do it. So yeah, it will impact. It probably will impact games because obviously there might be guys who aren't used to doing that. Obviously, I've came from the Elite League where we've gone down to Guildford and to Cardiff and things like that, so they are long trips. But for guys who have maybe only played locally, it might for them it might be a big shock to start with. But yeah, it's just something that everyone's just got to get used to and get on with, really.
And Matty, I think it's for ourselves anyway, where we're positioned geographically. It's no further than Bristol for us anyway, really. So I suppose somewhat Jordan picked on them. The scheduling might be important. If it is a double away game for a team, that's something that's maybe an added twist to it. But in terms of the actual trip and on the night itself, it's no different for us going down to Bristol, is it?
No, I mean, we've got the second highest mileage in the league, behind Solway now, obviously. But on the Solway thing, look, they wanted to come in this league and they knew about it, and that's what they've chose to do. And I think it's interesting because I was saying this, this league is no joke. It will get you, and I think they're realizing now that this undertaking they've made is very difficult. There's really good teams and players in this league that have played in this league a long time. They're new to it. They've got a lot of lads that have not played at this level. But look, good people, good club. They'll be fine. But look, at the end of the day, they've chose to do it, and that's the way it is. For us, yeah, we've been lucky already. We've not had a big travel day and game the next day just yet. But everyone that plays for this team has done it already. Other than the new imports, but they're both Canadian. They've both done plenty of traveling before. It's not a new thing for them. It's just part of it. It's just the league, and you have to make adjustments, and we as a club try our best to make it as good as possible in terms of we have nice buses. We have we do try and get food for the lads if we can straight away, and there's all things like that go into it, but it all comes around. We have plenty of trips to make, and the Solway one is just like the same as Milton Keynes. It's not that far. It's 3, maybe 4 hours for us if there's traffic. So it's the same as a lot of them. Bristol's a long one for us. I don't think there's many more that are as long as that now with Basingstoke out. So it's just part of the game.
And of course, in terms of Solway, they're already starting to make a few changes, aren't they? So I'm excited for the first time we get to see them. I believe it is it coming sort of late this month. I think the first.
We've got a back-to-back with them, I think, coming up.
Exactly. Looking forward to seeing them. Of course, they have just released long-term elite league of Barry McKenzie, so they're already sort of looking to try and make changes to try and improve their fortunes in the national division. Let's move on to talk our upcoming weekend, and we're back to double headers. Reversed though this time. It's the home game on a Saturday. These always feel a little bit strange. We normally have that away Saturday and the home trip on the Sunday. It's going to be another big game, another good team coming to town, of course. We've already been down there in what was the opening night thriller, Matty, that shot everyone's nerves to pieces, but sort of give us a taste of what to expect this year.
Yeah, I think this is the toughest weekend to now for me. We've got a team that's started to turn it around a little bit coming in on Saturday in Peterborough. They've had a couple of bad results, but it looks like they've turned it around a little bit and started winning again. They'll come into our rink and play a difficult game for us and try and shut us down, and they've got that top line that's really good. So yeah, that's going to be a real test for us. And then obviously we've got the back-to-back, and we've seen what Telford are. They're again another tough team. Good goalie, got really, really good coach, and they play difficult style, both teams. This weekend will be a real test for us. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we come out on the right side of it. I think if we do, it's a massive statement for us. And this is going to be a real battle for us.
John, will it feel odd? Any changes to routine? Just sort of having the away game on a Sunday, or is it a case of you've got your game day routine? It starts sort of it doesn't really matter what day it is, but you've got a routine and you just know you're ready to go for come 5 p.m. or 5:30.
Yes, not going to make too much difference. Kind of game day routine's the same as usual, really. Like Mike says, it's going to be a big weekend for us. Obviously the first game in Peterborough, that was a bit exceptional, to say the least.
It was a tough
in
one, wasn't it?
many different ways, yeah. But obviously we're playing at home. Hopefully we'll obviously have a packed rink Saturday night. So don't know if we should delay the face-off early just to get that big crowd in. But yeah, no, it'll be a big weekend for us if we can come out of this with 4 points. That sends a big message to the league, but also to ourselves that we can go to these difficult places, play against tough teams, and we can come away with wins. So yeah, it's going to be big for us.
No, I know where I'd rather be. It's the last night of the fair, but I'd much rather be down at the Hull Ice Arena on Saturday. Of course, that Telford game, Jordan, as well. Went down to the penalty shots. Something I had noticed as well. You seem to be very aggressive on the penalty shot and how you come out the crease. It's something I've not actually had time to ask you about. Is that something you've always done, or is it just your style? I say a lot of other goalies like to sit in there and make himself look big.
Yeah. I think it's just something I do. I think it throws some shooters off. I think sometimes players come down and they've got an idea in their head, and then like, oh, I'm going to do this move or do that. And if I'm coming right out at them, they're like, oh, I don't have as much time to do as what I thought I was going to do. So hopefully it kind of throws them off a little bit. Sometimes obviously against Telford, it didn't work twice, but I fancy my chances of penalty shots. I've always kind of seemed to be quite good at them. With them and breakaways, they've always kind of been my two strongest points. But yeah, I just like the fact penalty shouts, it's just 1v1, so there's no, like, it can't get deflected, it can't be a backdoor tap in, it's just one-on-one. So yeah, that's kind of why I like it, and I like to challenge the shooter, make them, fair play to them. If they pull a good move or they snipe one, then hats off to them, but got to try and make it as difficult as I can for them.
No, certainly. So I'll say it's something we've got to see. It's a bit too often for my liking after 5 games, but if memory serves me correctly, I think we are still the only team without a regulation loss. So that's another thing to carry on our backs and to try and extend as long as we can. I think it'll be the hope this weekend. We are going to move on to some fan questions, though, Jordan. As I say, these are always fun. I think we had a couple, for the first time. Last time we were on, I think episode 2 was the first time we tried out some fan questions. And, of course, we had the famous horse-sized duck or duck-sized horse that has made
still think about that now.
It's made its return, I think, again and again on this show, that one question from Ed, including last week where Brock said he beat the I won't repeat out of it.
Broccoli, man, what a guy.
Well, I'll head on with the first question. So this one is from Harvey. Harvey's asked, what is it that you can be heard shouting during the games, or what's your communication like with the rest of the team whilst you're on the ice?
Could be loads of different things, really. Most of the time, it's just kind of like you've got a man coming, you've got time on the puck, like get your head up, like, oh, there's a pass open. Like if there's a pass open in the middle, or maybe shout middle or wall if it's needs to go up the boards, or hard if it needs to, like if we're on a penalty kill, and I'll just shout hard at them and they'll just fire it down the other end of the ice. So it really just depends on the game. It could be a whole different load of things. I try not to say too much, because obviously the defenders, they've obviously got their own ways that they talk with each other, what they kind of want to do. But yeah, if there's something kind of glaringly obvious or somebody's trying to pressure them, then yeah, I'll try and help them out and speak to them as much as I can.
This one from Adam Edward, the photographer. During warm-up, who shoots the hardest? Who do you hate seeing?
Martin's in his spaceship again.
Am I again?
It's a little echoey. I'll repeat it just for Jordan. During warm-ups, who maybe shoots the hardest, and whose shots do you hate saving?
I mean, warm-ups are risky business. Sometimes they just all want to shoot in my head for some reason.
I think I saw Dom absolutely take one to the grill while trying to walk away the other week.
Yeah, warm-ups a dangerous game for
Dom and
goalie.
Tim get a rough go, let's be honest. Like they've got some horrible shots coming in very close to their heads.
Yeah, I thankfully, because obviously I'm starting, I don't get it too bad, but yeah, it can be pretty brutal at times. I am definitely Emil that shoots the hardest. That I don't think anyone will beat that. That's just insane.
Is Brock pretty close with that? His stick seems even bigger than Emil's.
Yeah, but Brock's is hard, but it's definitely not Emil's.
I've never seen anything like it. I've played with some people that have, like Doug Clarkson, people like absolute rocket. Like no one comes close to that shot. Even Kieran Brown, like Kieran Brown's release is amazing, but the heaviness of Emil's shot is like, it's horrible. Like it's times he shoots it and I'm just like, oh God, it's horrible. It's so like heavy.
Yeah.
So to combine the two parts of this question, if Emil was to launch one of them and rattle Jordan's grill in a warm-up, you'd be having a few words, wouldn't you, Mate?
I'd be fuming. I'd be fuming with him. I'm fuming with him most of the time anyway, so it wouldn't take a lot.
Next one, this is from Sally. We have mentioned it briefly already, but the fair. Have you been to the whole fair yet, Jordan?
Not yet, but I'm going tomorrow night, so I'll give you an update on how it goes.
Matty, have you got any recommendations for him?
Mate, do you know what? It's changed a bit over the years, but I would say, I mean, there's some good street food there now. There was a Mexican there, they've got the Greek going on. But yeah, if you go in full fare, you get like a rat burger or the old patty and chips. It's not actually rat, but it's like a rat burger. It's like them little, shitty little burgers that you get. It's, they're not ideal, but it's part of it. But yeah, the sweets and that's unreal. You just load up. It's like literally heaven for Connor. Like Connor's like, he could go every night and he'd just be like,
loving it.
Loving his life.
I've not actually been this year, although I'll be honest, Bart made a little joke, didn't he, at my expense on the Sunday evening. He tried to run away. I think it was after I was, for those who maybe didn't catch it at the Hull Ice Arena, after being awarded Brock's shirt on the shirt off the back, that definitely wasn't a fix. Some people have already told me it was.
Sounds fixy to me.
Bart's announced over the tannoy that it definitely won't fit me. So good one from Bart over the tannoy.
Tough one, that. Tough one.
He did try to run away when I came back onto the gantry.
Yeah, bet he did.
Yeah, you need to get him back on the commentary now.
Yeah, you do.
That's the only way to do it.
I've got a good opportunity for that one.
Yeah.
But Martin's also just texted me, similar to what you said, Matty, from his little spaceship, that he spends the entire time on Walton Street at the food vendors, not anywhere near the rides.
Yeah.
The next one, so this one's from Liam. He said, you've kind of alluded to it already, Jordan, that you're sort of more focusing on the game rather than sort of what's around you. But how well can you hear what the fans are shouting on the ice? It does all just sound like muffled nonsense. And if you do sort of hear the odd bit, particularly when you're away, does anything sort of get to you? Or
Nah, I think I said it last time I was on. I quite like it when people are like giving it to you because you just kind of get to prove them wrong, and then at the end of the game you can turn around and just be like, "Oh well, sucks to be you, doesn't it?" But yeah, just yeah. At times in the game, it's just noise. Like you don't really register it, especially if like the players in our end, like you don't even register it at times. But yeah, like at home when the crowd's up, it's probably one of the loudest places to play to be in the league. So at home you can definitely kind of feel a bit of energy from the crowd. Away games, yeah, you feel that energy because obviously the other team gets a lift off it as well. So yeah, it's just something you kind of got to deal with. But yeah, most of the time I don't really take much notice. That if there is something that I hear, then I'll have a laugh with them, and whatnot. But
Next one, I might have to ask part of the one once again, can we keep it clean? Because editing of this is a little bit difficult sometimes. Favourite Scottish slang phrase, and if required, please translate it. This one's from Jamie. I'm not sure if they're known to you, Matty. They said, can you please translate it so Matty can use it in a Graft House vid? Not
Get day.
oh god, there's so many I could.
I'll always use Scottish language in any video. I don't even speak to Geordie like normally. Like we're just like, all right, Gadgy, and it's like,
yeah. Oh god, one that Matty could use in his videos. Probably "Get Loudy," which means like go for it.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
Get Loudy.
Get Loudy. Aye. Stuff like that. Yeah. Someone's working out in the gym. Get Loudy.
That's me in the morning.
I'm
5:30 in the morning. Check your
Reaming in
stories.
someone's face.
Get Loudy.
Make sure everyone.
That's probably the most PG one that you could use. To be honest, quite a lot of them are pretty graphic. So.
I say Spotify won't allow us to use those, unfortunately. But yeah, make sure you're checking out Graft House's stories, Instagram, Facebook. Matty might even put one on Twitter as well.
You should check today's because probably one of the best videos I've ever put on happened today, and it was outrageous. Two like older guys, 50-year-old. You meant to catch them in a like handstand position, and the other guy just literally let the lad just tumble and smash to the floor. It was honestly, you need to see it. It was great. Comedy value.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to look at that now.
Before we do, as I'm now straight on my bucket list to do, as soon as this is finished recording as well, is from Ed. I've had to save Ed to last, of course. The originator, Ed from Viva La Bello.
What has he come up with now?
So once again, it is Scottish food and beverage related. He's asked you, would you rather drink nothing but deep fried Mars bars for a year, or drink nothing but Bucky for a year? Matty, I think you might have a problem with your netminder if either of these happened as well, to be honest.
I don't even know what Bucky is, but I'm going deep fried Mars bar all the way.
Yeah, Bucky's back Buckfast, so yeah, I'm not drinking that. Yeah, I'm not drinking that for a year. So it's got to be the Mars bar, but I don't even like them, so either outcome's just horrific, to be honest.
Yeah, either way, it's clogged arteries, isn't it?
Yes, it's a heart attack just waiting to happen. So
yeah.
To be honest, Matty, I think he might be in more my school of goaltending. If that was to be the case, it'd be more fill the goal rather than try and stop the shots. But that's pretty much we've got time for here on Hull Seahawks Behind the Curtain, episode 21. Been great chatting with the guys as always. Got to say thank you very much to Jordan Mclaughlin for joining us. First shutout of the season on the board, I'm sure. We're all hoping for many more to come. I've got to say thank you very much to Matty Davis and Martin Kettle for joining us as well. It's been another great chat here on Behind the Curtain. Make sure you join us next week for episode 22. Make sure you like, share, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Also, make sure you're checking out the supporters forum every week. Get your questions in for all the guys. We do love to have some fun at the end of these. So thanks for listening, and be back next week.